Howdy, what's up? Guys, today I'm going to show you examples of using user-defined code snippets, ones that are actually created by you. Let's see two quick examples and let's then further elaborate and understand them. So, this is an HTML document, demo.html, and if I were to write BDR, let's start typing BDR and press tab. See how beautifully the code expands. This works quite similar to the way emmet, a code assist plugin, fires or works or triggers. Okay, but the only difference between emmet and this is that this is a user defined. Doesn't come with Sublime Text 3. It was defined by you. It was created by you. I'll show you how to create it. I just created a CSS snippet for you just minutes ago for this tutorial. So it immediately throws up border 2px solid black. Okay, and the number 2, the numeric value 2, is highlighted. The cursor is blinking out there. That is the way the code snippet was actually written and saved. So let's say I would want to just change it to 3. Since it's already highlighted, I just need to press the number 3. Let's hit tab. Automatically the word solid, I don't know if you can actually see it very clearly, is highlighted. And let's say I can change it to dotted or dash or whatever. And if I tab again, this time the color black is highlighted. I can, let's say, change it to red. And this time if I press tab, it takes me to the new line. Wonderful. Okay. Let's show you another example of a code snippet that I created for this tutorial. Mark for marquee. Okay, and see how beautifully the code expands. I can, since the number 6 is highlighted, I think the scroll amount default value is 6, if I'm not wrong. Let's change it. Tab again, automatically the number 85, which I suppose is the default. Let's change it to 100 or whatever. Behavior, let's change it to a scroll after hitting tab. If I hit tab again, you see the tabbing is working so intelligently. You know, it's going exactly where it should go. And let's say hello world or whatever, right? So right, let's save the document up and we are actually done. See, if I were to use emmet for marquee, I would go like this, marquee, and hit tab, and the code expands this way. So basically your custom code snippets or emmet works more or less just the same, although with emmet you're restricted in a way that they're not custom made. They're set by whoever created emmet, a code assist package or a plugin. I have another tutorial on how to work with emmet. I'll leave a link in the description on how to install emmet, on how to work with the code assist package or plugin emmet, right? But today we are focusing only on creating custom code snippets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recreate the BDR and the MARQ custom code snippets. We'll recreate it, we'll save it again, we'll overwrite the earlier file so you can actually get a better understanding. Let's select everything, let's scrap everything. Okay, and this time I'm going to go to tools, go down to new snippet. So this is how you're going to create your snippet. This is how you're going to start. So a new file will open up in an untitled document. Okay, this is the skeleton of how you actually create a snippet, a custom code snippet, a user-defined code snippet. This is just a skeleton, a sample, an example. And your snippet is going to go in line number 3. Now notice lines 5, 6, 7 and 8 are actually comments and are there only to help you code out, right? So first things first, let's scrap line number 3. So your snippet will go between the opening and the closing square brackets in between lines 2 and 4. That's exactly where you should be pushing your or defining your snippet. Let's define the MARQ first. MARQ. Right, let's see how to do that. Or rather, let me go with the border BORDER colon 2 px space solid black. Okay, that's the first step. This is what I would want to see pushed in when there's a tab trigger, and I need to define the tab trigger too. So when the tab is pressed, what should happen? So tab trigger. Okay, so between the opening and the closing tab trigger tags, which should go after the content closing tag, you should write the text that will trigger off your snippet, and let's say BDR. Right. We can have another tag going, which is the scope tag, as is shown in line number 9, but that's optional, and I wouldn't want to complicate things. Just keep them simple and nice. Right. At this point, let's save the code snippet. That's all more or less that we are required to do. More or less. We'll make certain changes out here, but let's see what we have created and how it actually functions. So a file and a save. Automatically you'll find that it gets pushed in the user folder of the packages folder, which in turn is in app data roaming Sublime Text 3 packages user. So make sure that it's going at the right place. It should go out here. Okay, and let me save it under the name border Sublime snippet. One that I had already created, I'm going to overwrite it. Okay, I'm going to overwrite this file. Notice that snippet files should have an extension of .sublime-snippet, as you can see out here. This should be the extension. The name could be anything and does not necessarily have to match the text of the tab trigger. Cool. Let's say save. Do you want to replace the already existing file? Yes. Okay, so now that I've recreated the border.sublime.snippet file, let's see that in action. Let's get back to demo.html. Okay, write BDR, press tab. Okay, right. So you see, this time the code expands this way to px solid black. It's just that in the earlier example, number 2 was highlighted. On tabbing, solid was highlighted, then on tabbing the color black was highlighted, but out here we don't have any text that is highlighted, and the cursor automatically is blinking right at the end. Also in the earlier example, if you remember, it had gone to the next line, the cursor, that is, once we kept on tabbing, so it created one extra line. That was quite intelligent too. Well, I'm gonna show you how to make these changes. Right. Okay, let's get back out here and start making the changes. We're gonna make the change right here in line number 2. Okay, cool. Righto. Okay, just before the number 2, I'm gonna insert the $. Okay, and then have the curly brace out here. And after the number 2, put a colon. Right. Rather, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have number 1 and then colon number 2, like this. Okay. Close the curly brace out like this. I'll tell you what this actually means. Now, what this means is we are setting the tab index out here. So the number 2 will be highlighted up front because of this number 1 out here. Neither the curly braces are going to show up, neither the $sign is going to show up. What's going to show up is only the number 2, okay, which is immediately after the number 1, which acts as the tab index. This syntax helps you highlight number 2. Right. I think things will become very clear. Let me just complete the code in a similar manner. I'm going to put the dollar sign out here. It may be a little confusing right now, but it isn't so. So tab index 2, which means the second time we press the tab on the keyboard, we should see solid getting highlighted this time, and close the curly brace out here. Okay, next time you press the tab, so use a dollar sign out here, use the curly brace, tab index 3. Okay, what should show up? What is immediately after the tab index? Black or solid or number 2. That should show up. Let's close the curly brace out here. So whatever is inside the curly braces shows up, except the tab index, which is 1 colon 2 colon 3 colon. That, you know, is to tell you that yes, this is the tab index. Right? And right at the end, I'm gonna hit enter and I'm gonna say $0. Okay, so $0. Right. And because now $0 is to just take the cursor in the next line. It's not going to highlight anything at all. That's all it actually does. So a little twisted syntax, but I think with practice you'll understand it a lot better. So let's save the snippet again. Control S to save the snippet. So let me just recap what we have learned, or what are the changes that we have actually made right now. You know, using the dollar sign and then curly braces 1 colon 2 colon 3 colon actually sets the tab index, and whatever is inside the curly braces, for example the curly braces exactly after number 1, 2 or 3 are going to serve as whatever is going to be shown up. Okay, so what's inside the curly braces shows up, except the tab indices 1 colon 2 colon 3 colon, because they help you highlight the text on a tab. And $0 is basically going to take the cursor out there when you hit the tab, but that's not going to highlight anything at all. That's what it actually does. Okay, so after having made these changes, let's see how the snippet actually reacts. So if I say Control Z, and this time if I were to hit tab, you see number 2 is highlighted, which it wasn't earlier. I just press number 1, tab again instead of solid. Since solid is already highlighted, I'm going to change it to, let's say, a dashed, and instead of black, let me change it to yellow this time, or whatever. Okay, tab again, and as because of the $0, that's going to take the cursor in the next new line. Okay, and that was because of the, you see the $0, that's going to just take the cursor down on a tab. That's all it actually does. So we can actually push in the next code snippet, in my example marquee, like this. Okay, so let's see how I actually created marquee. Cool, which means I need to create another code snippet. So tools, new snippet, line number 3 is where the snippet should actually go. Remove everything else. Okay, this time I'm gonna keep my code a little short and sweet, not exactly gonna replicate what I've done, because I think you have a fair idea how things are actually done. Cool. So marquee, behavior and direction. Okay, cool. So let's have the $sign going out here, and the first tab index. Okay, and let's say the value behavior, let's say slide. So the word slide is going to show up on the first tab, you know, up front basically. And similarly, beg your pardon, let's go out here, $sign again, opening closing curly braces. Second time, you know, the next time the tab is actually pressed, it's gonna come up out here, and whatever is after the colon is gonna show up. Direction, let's say right this time. Okay, and out here between the opening and the closing marquee tags is where I would want to place the cursor on the next hit of the tab, on the next tab instance. So $, 0. Right, I've just made modifications to the marquee code snippet that I'd created a while ago, but that's okay. It's just you should understand things properly. That's more important. And let's define the tab trigger. So tab trigger in camel casing, and let's say the trigger is again the same mark, MARQ. Okay, I'm actually done with the snippet. Let's overwrite the file that I'd already created. So let's say save, and let's look for marquee.sublime-snippet. So the extension, as I mentioned time and again, should be .sublime-snippet and should be in the user under packages folder. That's where it'll take you by default, by the way. Okay, so I'm overwriting the file that I'd written earlier. So if everything is fine, it should work. Getting back to the demo.html, let's see how the changes actually reflect. So MARQ and tab. Okay, so by default the word slide is highlighted, that I can change to scroll, for example. And if I tab again, the word right, I'm not so sure if you can see the highlighted part clearly. I can change to, let's say, a left. Tab again, and it'll take you between the opening closing marquee tags. So some text goes out here. Alright, so although it was a little difficult for me to explain, I hope I have done a decent job, and probably you have understood the point that I was trying to make out here. So they work just quite similar to the way emmet actually works. If I were to use emmet for marquee, it would have expanded this way, right? But as you can very clearly see out here, custom code snippets, user defined code snippets are a little more powerful, and you define the keyword, the tab trigger, the text for the tab trigger, you define that. So people, I hope you found this information useful. You have a very good day. Please share, subscribe, and thumb the video up if you thought it was deserving. Bye bye. Peace.